Hakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Membet Amud Aleph 42a1. We were just speaking about the entire concept that even though that all Bnei Yisrael could be Yotzei Chuvah with one Shalia, with one Korban, even though for sure there's only one person doing the Shechita. So therefore, how do we know that? We learned it from the Pasuk. So says the Gemara, maybe it's different over there by the Shechita Pesach, because you're also a Shutaf. Meaning, right? We're trying to look for a case of shlichut without shutafut. Here, the Korban Pesach, everyone's a shutaf. So therefore, obviously, one person is the only able to do shchita, but that one person is also a shutaf. So if you can bring me a proof from Pesach, so answers the Gemara, you're right. You have to learn it from here. The Pasuk says, right, as follows. The Pasuk says, Ela mehacha, v'yikchu lahem ish se levet avot, se labait. What does it mean when it says that they're going to take one from every single family is going to take a se for korban, for everybody, the se labait, and se for all bnei abayit? It comes out that it actually helps. A se is a sheep. So it comes out that it's actually going to help a shlichut b'kodshin. Why? Because since it says, v'yikchu lahem ish se levet avot, se labait, meaning one in the mishpacha is taking for everybody, so therefore, you see from here that it helps shlichut b'kodshin. So ask the Gemara the same question. The dil mahatam nami dil shutafim. They're also everyone's shutafim, and since everyone's shutafim, you're right. You're a shaliach, but at the end of the day, you're also shutaf, and therefore maybe that's why it helps. So says the Gemara, if so, why do I need two different psukim? Right? We already know it's written v'shachatu oto kol kaladat Yisrael, and that's not there obviously because it cannot be kol kaladat Yisrael doing shchita. It's only one person doing shchita, and also right. When it says v'chulaim ish selavet avot selabayit, so why do you need two psukim then? If it's not in order to teach us words shayach, which is to do with the shchitat pesach, because we already know it. So make it in a place where you're not shayach, which means you're not going to be a shutaf. Meaning, since I already have two different psukim to teach you the exact same concept, that basically that if you're going to be a shutaf, you could come and you could be a shaliach for everybody else. And you don't need two psukim to teach you the same thing. So therefore, put it somewhere else. That when you're not a shutaf, so ask the Gemara, 1 second. You need like Rabbi Yitzchak. Right? The Amar of Yitzchak says Rabbi Yitzchak, ish zocher, velo katan zocher. Only somebody that's going to be an ish, which is 13 years and above, he could be zocher to acquire a chefetz for other people, but not a katan. Meaning, if I want to come and I want to be makneh something to an entire group, I cannot come to my son, that's a katan, and give him something. Because only an ish is zocheh for other people, and not a katan. So if I'm going to learn that for v'yichulam ish selabayit, so therefore it's not free anymore to learn up that if you're a shutaf, you're allowed to be a shliach for everybody else, and therefore the other pasuk is teaching you that. So therefore, you don't have two pasukim teaching you the same thing. So answers the Gemara, Hahu meish lefi ochlo nafka. He says, no, there, this drasha of Rabbi Yitzchak, that a katan cannot be zocher, only an ish, you learn from a different pasuk, ish lefi ochlo tachosu alaseh. So ish lefi ochlo, only an ish and not a katan. So for the pasuk of yichulam ish selavet vayit is actually going to be free. He's not going to be yotzeh. He cannot be motzi otcha al yedei ze, hu lo yechol lezakot. He cannot be mezakeh. But still, we're going to ask the following question: the shochatin pesach al yachid. Says 1 second, right? You could do a shchita on a korban pesach even for one person. So therefore, obviously, the mekor drashav Rabbi Yitzchak that a katan cannot be zoches from the pasuk yichu lahem ish selavet selabayit, right? Because ish lefi ochlot achos v'laseh is teaching you that you could even do shchita for one person. Meaning, I would have thought to say you could only do shchita on a big chabura. But if it's on an individual, you can't do it. Kamashmanan ish lefi ochlot achos v'laseh, that even for one person you could do it. So if I'm learning ish lefi ochlot achos v'laseh is teaching you that when you do it on one person, so if you're not learning about the ish and katan, so for obviously you learn that from yichulem ish selavet selabayit. And says the Gemara, he said no. He holds like a shita that you cannot do a shchita of a korban pesach for one individual. Meaning you need to be a chabura. You cannot be an individual to come and to do the shchita on one person. The Ela Hada Marav Gidal Marav, which Rav Gidal Marav comes and he says, Minayin shlucho shel adam kemoto. How do we know shlucho shel adam kemoto? Shneimar, it says in Pasuk, V'nasi echad mimate. What does that mean, Nasi echad mimate? We know that for every, where we're talking about now, Chalukat Eretz Yisrael, after it was already conquered, they came and they divided it between everybody. And there it says, Nasi echad mimate, tichul lichol et haaretz. So you see from here, a nasi of every single shevet is a shaliach for the bnei shevet lezakot lo. So so why do you learn shlichut from here? Learn shlichut that just like the nasi is the shaliach of the entire shevet, and he's going to come and inherit the land and then divide the land and everything. So he's a shaliach. So says the Gemara, v'tizbira, that shlichut. Do you think that this is shlichut? He says, 1 second, ktanim are not bnei shlichut, and therefore the shliach does not help for them. But there's no shlichut for a katan. So it cannot be midin shlichut. But if it's midin shlichut, how do you do shlichut for a child? At the end of the day, they were children. And children were also inheriting the land. But how does a child inherit the land? He says at the end of the day, and shlichut le katan. So for obviously it's not shlichut. This is another concept. The concept is, how do you know zachin le'adam shelo b'fanav? Meaning, I'm going to come and I'm going to give. Huh? I'm going to come and I'm going to give zechut to somebody. I've got $1,000. I want to give it to Michai. Michai's not here.
Again.
How do we know that we could give it to him? It's called zachin le'adam shelo b'fanav shneimar v'nasi echad mimate tichu limchol et haaretz. You see from here that from this pasuk of a nasi is zachin le'adam shelo b'fanav. We're making a zechut, meaning we know that it's good for you. So since we know that it's good for you, we're acquiring it for you, even though it's not shlichut. It's not like we're your shaliach. It's pashut, we're being mezakeh for you. And therefore, right, it's a completely different question now. So says the Gemara, the tizbira, is it logical to say that? Zechuti, do you think it's a zechut? Meaning, chalukat haaretz is zechut? Chova namika. It's a chova. Dika denicha lebehad, v'lo nicha lebekah. Dika denicha lebebikah, v'lo nicha lebehad. Says, how do you call it a zechut? You know how it is. People will complain about not everything. So therefore, you're going to come, you're going to give me a mountain. I'm going to tell you, why do you give me a mountain? You give him the valley. I want the valley. And you're going to give him the valley. He's going to say, why do you give me the valley? Give me the mountain. I wanted the mountain. And you're going to give it. So what do you mean it's all zechut? It's not a zechut. Maybe I didn't want that land that you're going to give me. Maybe I wanted something else, because that's what it always is. Everyone always wants something different than what they have. And they don't realize what they have is actually the best of what they're supposed to have. So says the Gemara, you're right. But rather it's like Rabbi Ravuna, Dam Rabbi Ravuna, Mergidam Rav, Minayin li'yatomim sheba'u lachlok v'nichsav yen shebetim amdim la'im v'putusachum v'lasukot. How do we know that if you have yatomim that they come to divide, right, the properties of their father, of the deceased, how do we know the betin come and they place them on a potopos, and he's going to come and he's going to give them lechovam v'lezakot? So he says, right, how do we know that? Lechov amai, says the Gemara, why is it lechov? At the end of the day, you're giving him an inheritance. What's lechov here? Ela lechov menat lezakot, but rather it's a chov, right, al menat lezakot, right, which means that they're going to come and they're going to give him somebody that's going to be chov, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the zakot afterwards. What does that mean? He says, so to here, at the beginning, the nasi was mechaven, the zakot leitomim, what they wanted. That means even though it could be at the end, maybe they wanted a different type of a field. Maybe they wanted the mountains instead of the valleys instead of the mountains, and the plains instead of this, and doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when they came lezakot. So therefore, he comes and he says, how do we know that? That comes from here. Fine. Now the Gemara is going to speak about the koach of an apotropos. The Beddin came and Beddin actually affixed. So the Beddin made an agent, and this agent is the one that's in charge, right? I forgot how it's called in English. It's somebody that's in charge of the properties, and he's like, but in English, I forgot what it's in. Yeah, that basically he's in charge of like the one that's giving out all the stipends every single month, and he's the one that's a.
No.
I forgot the word.
No.
Fine. When you remember, let me know. Amar of Shmuel,
Trustee.
Thank you. Right, the trustee. So he says like this. Amar of Nachman of Shmuel. It says of Nachman the name of Shmuel. Yetomim sheba'u lachlok b'niksei avihem. When Yetomim come and they want to divide in the properties of their fathers, Betim mamidim laim apotopos. So the Betim are going to place it for them apotopos. Borelim l'chelek yafeh. They're going to come and they're going to be borel lahem a beautiful chelek. V'migdilu. Now if the Yetomim come and they became bigger, yecholim limchot. They could be mocheh. That's what it means. And they could come, they could be moche. So that means what happens is that the apotropos is only doing it for the time being. But then afterwards, what's going to happen is that all of a sudden, right, when they get older, they could say, no, we don't want that. Rav Nachman says, no. The second that they get older, they still can't do anything. If not, which means this. If right now they could come, they could retract everything what the Bedin did through the potopos. So what was the purpose of Bedin? Saying the Bedin, they made a power of attorney that they basically just said, listen, these are children, so we're going to put a power of attorney. He's the one that's going to be in charge of everything. So he comes and he divides a few and then afterwards they go, no, we're not happy, we want to divide everything, we want to destroy everything. No, doesn't help. So says the Gemara, does Rav Nachman actually hold this concept of Imken Ma Bedin Koch Bedin Yafeh? But now we learned in the Mishnah. Shuma Dayanim. What happens if you have a Bedin that they came and they made an evaluation? Shepichatu Shtut. That they made a mistake and they evaluated it less than a sixth. Or Tiru Shtut, or more than a sixth. Michram Batel, whatever was sold was annulled. Because remember, that's called Una'ah. Una'ah is a sixth. If there's going to be six, right? If there's going to be a sixth, right? Whether it's going to be more or less, which is basically 16.6% or whatever it is, of a difference, that's already going to be considered too much. Rashba, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, Michran Kayam. Whatever they do is going to be Kayam. So Rav Nachman comes and he says, so you see from here that Rav Nachman does not hold of this concept of Koch Bedin Yafeh v'chul v'chule. So for why all of a sudden now does he hold of it? Meaning, why is it that by the case of the Yatomim, he says, Ma Koch Bedin Yafeh, and therefore whatever the Bedin did, it's a good thing. And here he's saying, no, that you annul the sale. You annul whatever the Bedin just did. So answers the Gemara like I asked a question. 42b. He says, Had ta'u, v'had lo ta'u. The Mishnah is talking about a case where the Bedin, they made a mistake. And therefore, in such a case, Rav Nachman comes and he says, like the Tanakama, that it's going to be batel. The case of the Chalukat Yerushat Yitomim, there's no mistake. Right? They did everything properly. The only thing is, it could be that maybe some of the Yitomim didn't like this one, they like the other thing, and the other one, the other. But there was no mistakes done. So because of that, and therefore, right, Rav Nachman holds that you cannot retract. So says the Gemara, if nobody made a mistake. So what does that mean then? How could it be moche? And so the Gemara, no, they want it to be moche in their directions of where the property is. Because here they gave Reuven in the east, and they gave Shimon in the south, and they gave Levi in the north, and they give Yehuda in the southwest, and they give this one and this, and that. That they could be moche. That's the pshat. Okay?
So in between themselves then?
No, but then they're coming to Medina, they want to annul it.
Yeah.
So that's why Rav Nachman says it does not help.
Yeah, but the argument here, it's a beautiful.
Rav Nachman says Rav Nachman, when we're talking about now children that they came, these are brothers that they came and they divided the Yerusha of their father. They are considered like lepuchot. What does that mean? That they bought from each other. So therefore, if it's going to be less than a six, that means again there's going to be a appreciation of value less than a six or whatever it is in differences of values. Everything goes back. Shtut, if it's exactly shtut, kana machzir, ona. He acquires it, but he has to give back the ona. So basically, one more time. If it's less than 16%, nada. If it's more than 16%, which is the shtut, right? So that's going to be 1/6. So then it's going to be batel. If it's going to be exactly the shtut, so therefore the sale is kayam, but he has to give back the shtut, the entire sheet. Yeah. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Had Amran, that which we said, Pachom Mishtut Nikna Mekach, Lo Amran Lo Shaliach, only if he did not make a shaliach. Aval Shav Yashliach, but if he appointed a shaliach, right? And now that the shliach made this mistake, okay? Amari could say there's a concept that many times when I come in and make a shliach, I want the shliach to come and to help me, not to make it worse for me. So in such a case, if it's going to be now that he's going to come, he's going to make it worse for me, so that it's a problem. Okay, and that's what she said, it's going to be more than a shtut, it's going to be batel mekach. Lo amran, what are you talking about? Ela de lo amar, that he didn't say nifligan b'shuma de bedina. What does that mean? We're going to divide the Yerusha, right, of the bedin. Aval amar, but if he says niflog b'shuma de bedina, which means we're going to divide the Yerusha according to the bedin, michran kayam, it's going to be kayam. The Trambas we learned in the Mishnah, Shuma Dayanim, right? The valuation of the Dayanim, Shepichatu Shtut or Itiru Shtut, Michram batel. Rashbag omer, Michram kayam. Rashbag says that it's a gur mekach, and the halacha is like Rashbag. So the same halacha would apply to do the bedin, that they came and they made a shuma of nichse achim. Shuma is an evaluation of the properties of the brothers that they're going to divide, right? And they made a mistake in the division. And that which we said shtut kana umachzir, that a shtut is you're going to acquire it, but you have to give back the ona'ah. Lo amran, what are we talking about? When we're talking about karka'a, and ona'ah lekarkaot, meaning the charging of more or less of a 6 is only by tangible objects, not by karka. Karka, there's no such thing as ona'ah. Okay, that's a famous yisod, that by karka, there's no such thing as like more than a 6, because it's real estate. Real estate, there's no such thing. You can't say, listen, you charge me more than a 6 of the value. I could come and charge you for this place $10 million, and you buy it, and there's no ona'ah. Because by karka, there's no ona'ah. Okay, ona'ah is only by a tangible object. So says the Gemara, and also by karka, we didn't say it, ela de palu biluya. When they're arguing, right, in the erech of the chalakim. Aval palug b'mishchata. But if right now they're coming, they're dividing, right, mamash with the chevel b'midah, means they're coming, they're taking measurements and they're dividing that. No, right? Then we do not say that there's no ona'ah karkaot, but rather, right, it is batel, right? Kedarabba like Rabba. Dama Rabba says, "Kol davar shv'nidar shv'nishkav shv'minyan afilu pachon mivdei ona'ah nami chozer." It goes back, which means this: if it's going to be on value, right? Say if it's going to be on value, there's no value on the land. Because at the end of the day, there's no value, and therefore you could come and you could give whatever price you want, and there's no ona'ah. You'll have to pay 20 times more, 50 times less. It doesn't matter. There's no ona'ah on karka. But if it's not to do with the value of the karka, but rather we're dividing the karka, and now all of a sudden we made a mistake in measurements. So I came and I have the measuring stick, and I came and there it is batik. Because there has nothing to do with the value of the land. There has to do that we're dividing, right, between ourselves. Okay? Behad itznan, and that which we learned in a Mishnah. Hasholeach et be'era. What does that mean? The Mishnah Baba Kama says, if you're going to come and you're going to give a gachelet, right, coals in the hand of a cheresh shotev katan. And now they came and they went and they put somebody else's property on fire. So you're going to be patur midinei adam, v'chayav midinei shemayim. Shilach biyad pikeach, but if you sort of send it in the hands of the pikeach is going to be chayav. Am I why? Why don't you say that you're the shliach? Meaning like this: I come and I give you a type of like something which can make a fire. You go and you put something on fire. So if you're going to be a cheresh shotev katan, I'm going to be patur, but I'm chayav midinei shemayim. Chayav midinei shemayim because I knew that by giving a cheresh shotev katan, he's going to come and he's going to burn something. He's going to do something. But technically speaking, I'm patur because at the end of the day, the katan, whatever he does, he doesn't have dat, so that's it. But if you give it to a pikeach, which means the person that's 100% there, so at the end of the day, why are you going to now come and tell me, right, that you're going to be chayav? Shlucho shel adam kemoto. He's your shaliach. So answers the Gemara, shaniatam, it's different over there than sheikh devar avodah. There you're doing an avodah. Damninan divra rav divra tamim divrei mishomim. At the end of the day, right, imagine right now I come and I give you a gun. I tell you, go shoot. And then I come and I say, listen, he's my shaliach. So no, you're not my shaliach. Why? Who told you to listen to me? The master tells you something. The student, who are you going to listen to? Hashem. So what do you mean that? So obviously you can't say that. So in shliach l'dvar avera. There's no such thing as a shliach l'dvar avera. Okay? V'hadetanya, and that which we learned in the Braita. Shaliach shelo asa shlichuto shliach ma'am. What happens right now if a person had money of Hekdesh? He made a mistake, he thought it was his money, and he gave him to a shliach, and then the shliach did not do his shlichut. So for example, he went and he told him, buy me, like for example, chaluk or whatever it is, and he bought a talit or he bought something else. So the shliach mal, the shliach does the milah. So Asha shlichut, or if he did the shlichut, the balabait is mal. So ki asa shlichut, the balabait miya mal. But you see from here that even if he comes and he does do the shlichut of the balabait is the one doing the milah. That means there is a shliach l'dvar avera. So am I why? Why don't we just say in shliach l'dvar avera? Answers the Gemara, shana milah is different. The alpha that we're learning a gzera shava chet mitruma. When it says v'chatea b'ishkaga mikotche Hashem v'lo yitzu alav chet. So chet you learn it from truma milah. So just like truma you can make a shaliach, because that's what we learned already. That by truma you can make a shliach. So to milah you can make a shaliach. So says the Gemara, v'neilaf milah. So why don't we learn from milah a binyan av right, for all the avirot in the Torah. Meaning, from Mi'ilah, you should learn on everything. So answers the Gemara, Mishum dehavi Mi'ilah ushlichut yad, shnei keduvim mekechad. It says no, because at the end of the day, right, if you're going to use it without the reshut, right, we're talking about a pikadon that was given to you. That's called shlichut yad, right, which means that somebody comes and he gives you something, and then without their permission, you come and you use that item that was given to you as a collateral. So in such a case, it says that Mi'ilah and shlichut yad are two psukim coming to teach you the same thing. The Mshaleach is going to be chayav on the avirah that was done. You're not going to help. You're not allowed to learn from it. So says the Gemara, Mi'ilah had'amna. Mi'ilah is that which we just said above. Shlichut yad mahi. What is the shlichut yad? The Tanyas we learned in a Braita al kol davar pesha. Bet Shammai. What does it mean al kol davar pesha? Right? No. He says Bet Shammai only. Bet Shammai says lechayev al machshava k'maaseh. Meaning, even if, right, he wanted to do it, he's going to be chayav, right, the tashlumim, if it became an onus, right, ki'ilu that he already came and he put his hand in it. But Hillel come and they say, eno chayav shishlach bo yad. No, you have to actually put your hand to it. Meaning if you didn't touch it, even though you thought of whatever you want, doesn't matter, right? Why? Because it says, im lo shalach yado. So it's mashma shalach vamash. So Amru Bet Shammai leBet Hillel. So says Bet Shammai to Bet Hillel, Valo ne'emar, it's already written on Kol Dvar Pesha. So therefore we should come and we should be adding in that the Shomer is going to be chayav even on machshavat shlichut yad. So Amru le'em Bet Hillel Bet Shammai. Bet Hillel answered Bet Shammai, Valo ne'emar, im lo shayach yado. It says im lo shayach yado. So Amru Bet Shammai leBet Hillel. So Bet Shammai said to Bet Hillel, im ken, if so, al Kol Dvar Pesha lamali. What do I need al Kol Dvar Pesha? So he says, Shiyachol en li elahu. Amar le'avdo v'lishlucho minai, which means like this. I understand that the shomer is going to be chayav in onsim only if he himself shalach yad b'pikadon. What about if his shaliach or if his eved came and they put their hands in the pikadon? How do we know in that case he's also going to be chayav? Which means one more time, I am the person that I have the guarantee in my hand. So if I come and I touch it, so that's it. I'm going to be chayav. Why? Im shalach yado b'mlechet reu. But what happens right now if I didn't do it? It was my eved, my shaliach. How do you know you're going to be chayav? That's what it comes to teach you. That the shomer is going to be chayav, even maseh shlucho, right? He did it al pi diburo. So therefore you come and see that according to Bet Hillel, Mi'ilah is going to help with shlichut yad. So hani chale Bet Hillel, I understand that's good according to Bet Hillel, but according to Bet Shammai, demuk Mi'ilah laikra that he says in this pasuk is coming to teach you that it's machshava k'maaseh. That even if a machshava is going to be like a maaseh, ne'elif mineh, why don't we learn it from it? Why don't we learn a binyan of, from to do with Mi'ilah, that there is a shliach, bechol avirot shabbat Torah? So I answer the Gemara, mishum davi Mi'ilah utvicha ubechira shnei keduvim mekechad. It says, no, Mi'ilah, tvilah, and mechira is considered two psukim which come to teach you the same halacha, and two psukim which come to teach you the same halacha, em melamdin. You do not learn from other halachot. And since you don't learn from other halachot, that's why you cannot learn from it, to do with this concept of shlichut.